So, coming back to that stage that we were in the astral plane now. So, some of the cases that were mentioned already, we discussed about unnatural, natural deaths, but also what astral plane gives the opportunity is of, because now you cannot have any physical pleasures there. So, if during the physical life, if a person has not developed higher likings for arts, music, or science, or something abstract, if the person has not worked on those, for that person it will be very difficult to live, as we discussed. It will become a hell, because he wants pleasures of physical nature, but physical body is not there. But the people who have, who are interested in music, art, beauty in form and color, nature, science, or history, they will find all these things. Like yesterday we had the dream of Giuseppe Tartini, that of course in the astral plane he got that such a nice piece of music. So similarly, a lot of things, much finer and much better vibrations are there in astral plane than the physical plane. Means it is much times higher and acute than physical. So if I am suffering right now, if I leave the physical body, I in astral body will feel that suffering even more. So if I heard a piece of music here and I am enjoying it, in the astral plane it will be much more finer and much more, of good quality, you can say, like from going to HD or 4K or some high quality, high definition things, no? From here we go. So that kind of person, when after death they can do all those things. There is also the opportunity, the person who has died, to help others, the people who are not just interested in art, music, but they also want to help. That is their greatest choice, so they will pursue their philanthropy more vigorously than ever, and under better conditions than on this lower plane. And whom will they help? The other people who are dead but who are confused, who have been brought up with this conditioning that there is, let's say, eternal hell or eternal heaven after death. So they have all these ideas during life. Oh, I am dying, I am going to eternal hell, or I am going to eternal heaven. Oh, where have I come? All these people can be helped by those who have this knowledge, what we are studying today. There are thousands of whom they can help with far greater certainty of really being to do good than is usually possible. So, and some people do it for a large group of people. Some people stay for their family. Like, again, from my not personal means, the person whom I know, her husband passed away. This is another example of what I gave yesterday, that she was crying, so she got a message from her husband not to cry. But in this case, he kept certain documents in certain place, which were like, property documents and all those things. And she was left alone with 2 children, and it was some challenging situation. And what she told us, that after he died, for the next about couple of years, she keeps getting visits from her husband in dreams, and he used to tell her where his investments or something like that are, or where is that particular file, which he could not tell. Maybe he thought he'll tell later, but he died untimely. So basically, being dead, he is still helping the family or the friends, or similarly a mother, suppose, who passes away with a child who is very young and who still needs care, so she still overlooks the child for a certain time until, she has to go on the further journey. So that is the help opportunity for the person who is died, to help others who are dead. But how can we help as living beings to those who are dead? because those who are dead are just still the human beings. They are the same people before death and after death. The only difference is they do not just have the physical body. So there is much help that may be given to the dead in very many ways. And first of all, indeed, is much explanation with regard to the new world in which they find themselves, which I was just talking about, because so many beliefs, so many superstitions that different religions put in the mind, that after death some agent of death will come and pick you or put in hell or heaven. So all these images actually make the people after death confused. So being alive, we can use our thought power, or in dreams while we are sleeping, we can go to them in our astral body and help them, basically becoming a invisible helper, like what Sushri shared the other day. But how to become an invisible helper? So these are some of the points that C.W. Leadbeater mentions, that if we really want to activate and work in that direction, first we should be very concentrated with the feeling of helping others. That should be our, at least one of the main focuses of life. Secondly, perfect self-control and control over the temper and nerves. Because if I am letting my emotions overcome my sense of duty, then I can never do the duty that I am supposed to do. If I am all the time, thinking about some personal things, getting hurt, getting irritated, then my mind will not be calm. And if my mind is not calm, how can I calm the other people? Thirdly, perfect calmness, serenity and joyousness also. This is especially in relation to the people who are subject to depression and worry. Because worry and depression is something which is most of the time useless, and there is no much reason. It is only imagination, right? We imagine things and we get worried. We imagine things about ourselves, that I am not good, I am not this, and then we get depressed that I have not succeeded. So all these things have to be removed and perfect calmness should be there. Fourthly, the person must have this knowledge. Otherwise, how can we can share it with others? Fifthly, the person should be perfectly unselfish and should be above all this foolishness of wounded feelings. And because even we get hurt when we say, it is because our ego gets hurt, our pride gets hurt. So we should be above that. And lastly, the person must have a heart filled with love, but not sentimentalism, because oftentimes sentiments are thought of as love, but sentiments are not exactly love, because love is a constant, it's not even an emotion, it is a state of being. Sentiments come and go. Like at the moment I am feeling good, maybe the next moment something happens and I am crying. Next, maybe the mood swings, we can call them. So, and sentiments actually get hurt, not the love. Love is beyond hurt, because there is no selfishness in that, and the desire for serve. So following all these things, we can, if somebody wants to really work in that direction, can implement that. So, okay. And it is only in the astral plane. While in the astral plane the person is there after death, he can be communicated, or she can communicate with the people on the earth. Otherwise, once the person is gone beyond astral plane, that is in Devachan or mental plane, then it is not possible for them to come down and contact us. What is possible is that we raise our consciousness to the mental plane and contact them. That is possible. Like we yesterday studied in dreams, that in dreams we can get in touch with somebody who is in Devachan or mental plane. And also, this is said that communication with the dead in general is not possible due to the ego being a slave. Exceptions are, of course, premature death, what we talked about, accidents and suicide, because the person is still hanging in astral plane. Before going into the gestation state, that is the mental plane, a purified living person is able to elevate the consciousness, of course. Otherwise, there are only shells, shades, nature, spirits that we just talked about. That once on the onward journey, second death happens. We are now in astral plane. Now all our desires are exhausted. All our time has in astral plane is completed. Now we are going in the Devachan. So we leave this astral body in this plane. It becomes a shell. Like when we left the physical body, it became a shell that needs to be destroyed. Similarly, the astral body is left on the astral plane with little bits of mentality. And these are the things that generally come to the seances. Seances, everybody knows? The seances are something where some people gather together and they call the spirits, which was very prevalent at that time in the name of religion, the calling down the spirits and getting some knowledge from them, which H.P. Blavatsky, most of the cases were fake, because we just now saw that it's not the spirit that comes down, it is only these kind of shells and partly of the people who are hanging around, who have still desires of the physical nature, that are hovering and they get attracted, not the real spirit of the person which has gone to the mental plane, because that cannot be contacted from the earth's atmosphere. And this is what happens to the astral body, shell of the astral body. It is like an astral corpse without any kind of consciousness, and it just moves here and there, and it can be galvanized for a few moments if it comes. That's what we just discussed. And also sometimes what happens, that it comes to the person and it speaks in the same way as the personality of the person was. The handwriting or familiar expressions. But it does not do it because it is intelligent. It does it because it still has the memory of those movements, basically the habit. Because all these bodies are creatures of habit. So if I am doing some action again and again and again, the molecules of my body become used to it. When I am weightlifting, what do weightlifters do? First, they start with lower weights. So once the body gets used to that kind of weight, they increase the weight. Then the body gets used to that weight, they increase the weight. That's how they train the body, because the more body, muscles, tissues, everything has a memory, and through that memory this shell behaves. So after this we'll go to mental plane. So these are the 7 subdivisions of the astral plane. Now Vignesh was asking what happens to the people who are sometimes cruel to animals or something. So these are 7 subdivisions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So based on that rearrangement that we talked about and the type of matter we have in our bodies, we pass through all these planes. The lowest subplane that we see here is kind of really, we can call symbolically the hell, because it is full of people with evil passions that have led them to this place. All sorts of unimaginable beings and everything. Murderers, ruffians, violent creatures of all types, drunkards, profligates. But very important thing to see here, also it is called the hell of vivisectors. We know who are vivisectors. Vivisectors are the scientists or doctors who cut animals, who experiment on animals to do some research. All they put things in the eyes of the rat or cut the frog, but actually it is cruelty. No matter it is done in the name of developing some medicine or learning, but there has to be a way to learn all those things in a non-violent way. So what happens in here, surrounded by all the forms of his mutilated victims. So when after death the person reaches there, all these animals or things that the person has done cruelty to, all those shouts, the noises, the pain, everything the person feels surrounded by. So you can imagine that what kind of a state that would be. It is no less than any hell that we read in the scriptures. And this is to what the person does to animals. The same, if the person kills another human being, the same thing, similar thing would happen. So that is the lowest subplane of astral plane. Then comes the 6th, 5th, 4th. So basically from this we can, to cover this, slowly basically the better and better the person are, they go accordingly to their same frequency. And if there is certain matter of certain subplane in that body, they have to be in that. And like 7th, 6th, 5th, here there are people, more progressed souls in this one. This is a little bit less refined, this is a little bit more refined, but here more refined progressed souls who know that they have to go forward. They are not looking downwards to physical plane for pleasures. And then you can see the third one, the materialized heavens as per the imagination during life and in religions. Here, people who instead of taking essence of religion only stuck to the rituals and outer form, right? Because we become so conditioned to only believe in the exoteric religion, not the esoteric aspect of it. Desires fulfilled, that we just studied, charity as we just studied, and they even do a lot of work. They are constructing orphanages, giant houses. They know that they have to go further, and that from there it will not be possible to come back. So that is the stage. This is just the finer of this. Here it's something interesting to note. Intelligent and educated people who were either atheists or were so busy in gaining knowledge that even after death they keep reading, trying to get more knowledge, with their capacities increased. So this is like a preparation for the next birth. So when they come in the next birth, all this knowledge will be stored somewhere in their subconscious or be ready when they are available or receptive enough. Politicians. Okay, I think the politicians are kept very on, but I think good politicians. They forgot to put the good politicians. State workers and scientists remain in this subdivision for some time, and sometimes a person remain here for centuries busy reading his subject of interest and detail and become sad when he has to leave further. So basically it is all our creation, how we want to spend this life. If we have got rid of all the personal desires, we will just in couple of hours or minutes we will just pass by the astral plane and we go to the, and again astral permanent atom now becomes dormant. So when it is left and come to Devachan. What is Devachan or mental plane? It's also called Sukhavati, and Devachan means, Deva means gods and Chan means place, so land of gods or place of gods, but also a lot of learning, assimilation and rewards are received in this plane, mental plane. As we can see, it is a state of complete oblivion of that gave it pain or sorrow in the past incarnation, and even oblivion of the fact that such things of sorrow exist at all. This is called Devachan, means place of bliss or God, right? When can there be absolute bliss? How? When there is no body to suffer, or we can say when there is no even memory of suffering. Like if I have a memory that, oh, that person betrayed me, oh, that person did that to me, the moment that thought will come, I will have some uneasiness, right? So that's what Mahatma is saying in letter. It's absolute oblivion. That's why everyone's devachan is different from every other. It is not a room or a place or something that people just go in the lounge and enjoy. Every person makes his or her own devachan because everyone's experiences, everyone's loved ones, everyone's likings, everyone's karmas have been different. So what they will be surrounded by is only this. Here, there are many varieties of devachanic state, as many varieties of bliss as on earth there are shades of perception and capability to appreciate. So in this, it is in each case of the ego's own making, and by him filled with the scenery, crowded with the incidents and thronged with people, he would expect to find in such a sphere of compensative bliss. So of course, if in my devachan someone comes whom I do not like, I mean, then my bliss is broken, right? So in my devachan there will only be the things that I like, that gives me happiness, that gives me pleasure, whether the people or the places or things or anything. So that is why everyone's has his or her own devachan or place to rest. It is a state of enjoyable subjective illusion produced by the happy and noble thoughts and acts of the individual while he or she was physically incarnate. So even this is our own creation. We are creating it right now. Because when we are alive, whatever kind of happy and noble thoughts and acts we are doing will be compensated in this place 1,000 times more than what we are creating the causes for. And that is why it lives throughout long centuries as existence of unalloyed happiness, which is the reward for its sufferings in the earth life. So that is how we create our own future. The person who has cultivated the intellect and finer emotions and working, helping, serving, joyous, who has been kind, gentle, will find all these things waiting for him or her when the person reaches devachan. And this is one thing happens. The law of karma stops working here. It is said that at the gates of devachan, law of karma awaits. Because if law of karma with all its pain and suffering will come, the person cannot have the full, absolute, unalloyed happiness. So at this point, law of karma just wait outside devachan, and the moment the reincarnation time comes, again the ego is affected by law of karma, and all the past things have to be lived, and when it is coming down, we will study later. In a way, this is the result of karma also, but only for this time being. Rest of the memory of pain, suffering, any kind of frustration, depression, everything is withheld. It cannot touch us. So this is the kind of body you should be building now, in order that on the other side of death you may find it ready. You make that body by good desires, by wishing to do right, noble aspirations, and you don't know how strong thought is, that we will study tomorrow. Every time you think of a good thing, you create a beautiful form which remains near you in life and helps you to walk along the right path of right action. Thought power we will study tomorrow, and also the law of karma. But basically the point is we are creating with every thought and every action our future, the next, whether post-mortem or the next life. And so these are the stages of Devachan in the mental plane. Again 7, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the lower, and the 5, 6, 7. So here also you see different people. Devachan of those in whom general but sincere and sometimes selfless love, but only for family and friends, was aroused. Also those who sometimes made an effort to make their life better and selfless by inspiration from someone of higher level. Similarly, this is for those who were attracted with loving devotion to either any form or name of God. In this place, even some guru. Suppose somebody likes Buddha or Raman Maharshi or someone very much in this life, they just follow and they want to meet them. So in Devachan, they will meet them, but not, of course, because of course they have gone and passed, but that will be the person's own creation, because that's how strong the mental thought power is. And the person will feel that he is meeting Buddha or the teacher or the deity. They meet the deity here made up of the matter of the plane. Such people return with more devotion and purity and spend their time in devotion. This is very important, interesting. This is the third one from down. Those who saw God in humans and were big-hearted and enthusiastic and ready to serve. They are rewarded with special strength and wisdom so that they can plan how they can help larger humanity and implement it, and they take births as great reformers and great philanthropists that we come to know from time to time. It's not the real Buddha or real Ramana Maharshi essence will come, it's all your own creation. Even if you want your family people to meet, you will find them surrounding you, but they will not be the real people who are maybe still alive, right? But that power of thought will make you believe that it's real. But the images that you will see will be creation of your mind. But since you are at the level of Devachan, so at their higher mental plane you will connect those people who are existing. But below them, you may imagine, but what will happen in the cases the person whom you love is sleeping, right? And that person has a dream, and in that dream the person goes in deep sleep and the consciousness is raised, then that becomes a real meeting. That becomes a real meeting, and then we wake up and we see that we met somebody, our grandfather or grandmother or some friend or something like that. But otherwise, everything here is the creation of mind. That's why in the beginning itself it is called an illusion. But it is an illusion that gives the rest to the ego who has gone through the physical life suffering, and also, but the learnings in this place are done, they remain with the ego, that the person gets ready for the next incarnation. Because even the thought, okay, I think I'll share with now, but I should share it tomorrow, that even if you think you are doing an exercise, right, not doing the physical exercise, even that thought will increase your muscles, just the thought. And there have been many cases, I'll share tomorrow, people have cured cancer by their thought power. And there is a book by Dr. Joe Dispenza, The Power of Thought, The Power of Manifestation, something. And there have been scientific researches also that some people did this, some people just thought of this and something happened. So that's what in the previous slide we don't realize how much power the thought has. What we discussed, that what we believe becomes manifested. So that's how, although we are thinking all these things, but in that stage it is as real to us as we are living right now. And after that we go on further on, but now there is a change. The moment we go to the formless or the abstract part, what C.W. Leadbeater has written, that most of humanity touch this subplane just for the namesake. Why? Because most of the people just remain sleepy here. The soul is so nascent that it remains unconscious. Why? Because few during the earth life, by their deep thoughts and selfless character, collect such seeds which can sprout only here. And that is why the abstract thinking, selflessness, compassion, friendship, inclusivity, all those things that we are studying are the seeds. If we are sowing in while we are in this body, then basically we are activating the higher mental body. And only when the higher mental body is active, after that, when we are here, we can still be conscious, not just in a sleep mode or auto mode. And then similarly, higher is more evolved, and then the top is the abode of Mahatmas and initiated people. And the fundamental thing is, the higher the plane, the more evolved person should be, based on the deeds that the person has done in the previous life. And then when even the time in Devachan is completed, as we saw in the earlier one, that 100 years in the physical plane, 1100 years in after death. But in 1100 years also most of the time passes in Devachan. And maybe HPV has written about total of somewhere about 1500 years is the total time between two birth, between the death and the birth. So somewhere in between, sometime in astral plane, sometime in Devachan, and then coming back. That's the question we have to ask the nature or the God, that if there is certain situation when there is no body available, but because if we are talking of such high intelligence which is working with so much complexity, there may be some provisions for that also. Or maybe there is always all these timings and everything happens as per a plan, so there is always the possibility. But one thing happens, that a soul is about to be born and the child is aborted, right? So what happens in that case? Because that's why abortion in that sense is not so good, because you are killing a life that is about to be born. So the soul was about to take birth, and then that opportunity was taken away. That also may be a part of that soul's karma in a sense, but still then another body has to be found for that soul to take birth. But then this action itself creates a karma for the person that decided to do that. So this is about karma. Basically, reincarnation is a theory which very well explains the so many inequalities of birth and fortune, of intellect and capacities. So many times we say, oh, I am much better than that person, but that person got the promotion, or that person, I am born in the village and that person is born in a metro city, I am not having this, and so many things, so many inequalities. But law of karma, along with reincarnation, it is said that blessed knowledge of karma alone prevents him from cursing life and men as well as their supposed creator. So all these inequalities that we see in around life can be explained through this. And then coming to reincarnation, there are different words used in some places. In some places it is used the atoms in reincarnation. Basically, Gottfried D. Purukar also called them life atoms, anu or permanent atoms, which basically take rebirth. In Buddhism, they are also called skandhas, because Buddhists don't talk about bodies, but they talk about skandhas. Skandhas are basically also the aggregation of attributes, the form, feeling, perception, impression, condition, consciousness. Again, with this permanent atom has all these vibrations stored in it, what it is mentioned here. And here it says, karma with its armies of skandhas waits at the threshold of Devachan. And new astral form is partially composed of, okay, that is I think not very relevant here. The auric egg that I was mentioning. Also the word metempsychosis means animating after, after death, animating the passing of the soul at death into another body, either human or animal, but HPB used it as synonymous with reincarnation. One thing that Theosophy differs in understanding, that is it possible for a human to take birth as an animal after death? Because many of the religions say that. But in Theosophy, I think most of us must have studied that it is not possible, because taking birth into an animal is basically going back in evolution. And now the person has a causal body, the individual soul, and the animals are governed with group soul. So there is no, linkage there that is possible. And the third reason, why do we say that a soul will take birth in animal? For some suffering, right? Maybe the person, normally it is attached to some bad karma, that if you do this, you will take birth as this. So basically what is being said is, if you take birth in animal, you will suffer for your karma. But the question is, who suffers? Is it the body that suffers, or is it the mind that suffers? Right? The body may have pain, right? But the mental, it is the suffering that is our mind create. So if I have to face the suffering for my karma, I have to have a fully functional individual mind. So in an animal, I can have pain, but you may have seen even animals, even if their leg is hurt or something, they still go on with their things as usual, although they have pain, but they have some kind of a sting to, bear that. But if man or human being, if little bit of injury and this or something, we create so much suffering for ourselves. Even out of worry, out of depression, or out of psychological things, we create so much suffering for ourselves when there is not even physical pain. So that is the power of mind. But what happens is, in transmigration, when it is said rebirth into an animal body, what it means, that I have lived, let's say, my life in such a low vibration that the atoms of my body have become very low vibration. So after the death, when this body is decomposed and cremated or something, all those atoms which are free now, they have so low frequency that they will go and get attached to some animal bodies, because they cannot be used by humans of that maybe level. So that is what is meant by rebirth in the animal body, transmigration, only the atoms. And then we come to reincarnation. So when it's the time for reincarnation, it's not like physical reincarnation. This is what is starting at the level of outside Devachan, when all the karma of the previous life is exhausted, the ego is there, and also the ego sees at that level, one thing very important, all the past lives, and then it sees what all things it is going to have in the next life, what all major events and all those things, what all karmas he or she will pay off. And then first thing that comes, it starts energizing the mental permanent atom. So it starts activating. Then the astral, it goes, the same life goes to astral permanent atom and then physical permanent atom. Now what these atoms do, the moment they are energized, they start vibrating and they start collecting the matter of that plane around them. And what kind of matter they will collect? The same kind of matter or the vibrations that they have. So the same kind of karma and vibrations that we have been, this is like the seed of our future body. So whatever we have put in that atom will attract that kind of matter, and that will make our mental body, astral body, and also our physical body. Even to the extent that some of the diseases are already, if the person has to suffer from certain diseases, are already inbuilt, and at a particular time of life they appear in the body. Or if a person, like say, has to have a particular neurosystem, like musicians, which they only can get from a hereditary, like from certain parents. So karma will take them in that family to take birth where their this music aspect of theirs is developed, and they get opportunity, because not everybody can sing, or not everybody can paint, and not everybody can do certain things. So there are limitations created by that, and that's how this cycle goes on from death to astral, lower mental, causal, and then again the mental unit comes, the astral unit, the physical unit, etheric double, and then like this cycle goes on again and again and again, and the learning from the physical world experience, astral world, mental world experiences go on storing in the causal body, and this is never lost. So these vibrations keep storing, and even to the limit of chromosomes and genes. You see, the permanent atom will determine the sex by attracting a sperm with X or Y chromosome. What we studied yesterday, the permanent atom is made of all this, the coils and strings. So even at that level, the karma is acting. Can we imagine? Not even an atom is free without any intelligence or the divine plan. So the first thing that we study in the purpose of studying all this, what HPB wrote, to show that nature is not a fortuitous concurrence of atoms, but there is an intelligence behind that is working, what we call as divine plan. So this, how complex is this system? Much infinitely complex than any supercomputers that human mind can make. And even an atom is not left untouched. And this we have studied, that etheric double, the mold or the blueprint, as Rocco said, is made first, and in that the mental, astral and body comes, and the physical body is. Thank you. So the last slide actually is the reincarnation, a true story done by one doctor, a parapsychologist, who was the director of International Center of Reincarnation and Survival Research. Okay. And there was one lady, there have been thousands of such cases which are documented by Dr. Jan Stevenson in his book. So we can read and check them out. But this case became very famous in India in 1930s, early 30s. And this lady, whose name was Shanti Devi, she was also very closely related to Mr. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, what many people know. So that is one of the best cases of children's past life memories to be ever recorded, and it was investigated by a committee of prominent citizens appointed by Mr. Gandhi, who accompanied this person, Shanti Devi, to the village of her past life recollections and recorded what they witnessed. So basically, this person named Shanti Devi is born somewhere, and at certain age, in even less than 10 years of age, she was saying that, I was there, that person was my husband, that person was my son, child, or something like that, but nobody believed it. But slowly, when she kept insisting that I want to go there, I want to go there, then people became little serious, and then this committee was formed, and then they went along with her to the place where she was saying that she was in the past life. And this news spread all over the country and finally also all over the world. And it was natural that the world should wonder about the authenticity of her story. And she took birth after 1 year, 10 months, and 7 days later. And Dr. Ian Stevenson, who was a leading authority on reincarnation, said that I also interviewed Shanti Devi, her father, and other witnesses, including her husband of the old previous life, and my research indicates that she made at least 24 statements of her memory that matched the verified facts. So this is one such case that I just wanted to share, that is possible in reincarnation. Although we do not have a direct proof, we have to rely on the people's expression or experiences. But there is also something these days going on called past life regressions. I think some of you may have heard about. And there are techniques. I don't know what is the authenticity of these techniques, but people say that they go into their past life and they see some events and some things, and when they come back, either they get free of some phobias in the past life, because many of the phobias that people have actually come from the past life events. Like if a person has died in fire or by drowning, so in this life they will be very scared even with a matchstick of fire, or they cannot go of fear of heights or any such fear of enclosed spaces. But once they face that fear, maybe in the past life, they transcend it. And one case that is real, and I think after that, although we are finishing early, but it's better, all of us can have some free time and enjoy the weather, that one of the Theosophists I know, he also did this course of past life regression, and one of his niece, or some distant relative, she was feeling very bad due to her marriage, that she came to him and said, I'm suffering a lot, and my husband, and we argue a lot, and he tortures me a lot by words and all, and even his mother also sometimes say something from time to time. So he has learned this course recently, so he said, why not do the trial? So he said, okay, would you like to do this? She said, okay. And then he did some sessions of past life regressions on her. It was not first time, second time, third time. And then in one of the sessions, she really had some memories awakened, and she realized that this husband-wife couple actually have been in very close link, even husband-wife from some previous incarnations. And in the previous life, she was the husband, he was the wife, and the husband in the previous life actually killed her. And so this life, they are born, and they meet again, they become husband and wife, And that's why the husband in this life is, kind of torturing. It's like a karma coming back. But what happened to her after realizing this, that she felt very kind of guilty and also compassionate. That she said, oh, I did such a bad thing. And okay, he is torturing, but at least he is not killing me, but okay, maybe at some point. But then what she started doing, that every time there was such occurrence of argument or the person is misbehaving or something, earlier she used to reply back. Slowly she started ignoring or subsiding or trying to calm down and all those things, right? Not reacting with equal hatred or anger or something like that. And in about 1.5 or 2 years, she came back to him telling that, now everything is normal. I mean, we do not have all those arguments and all those things. So that is how we can break the chain of karma. That of course the more evolved person has to suffer a little bit more by not reacting, considering that of course I might have done something in the past. And that is the fundamental of that part in Golden Stairs, courageous endurance of personal injustice. That if something that we cannot find the reason has happened to us, and we cannot do much about it, then there is a possibility that something I might have done, that's why it has come in my life. So in that moment, if I do not react by my impulses, instead if I respond with my understanding of all what we are studying, most likely that slowly we will cut out those karmas that are coming our way. Otherwise, if we keep reacting, so in this life we are in this role, the next life we will be in the other role, and that chain will go on and on and on, and never ending chain will go on. So that is how we can slowly cut our karma with this knowledge. So that is, I think, more or less, not everything we could cover in this time. And there were some cases, one case that I did not share here, there are also some cases which remember everything of their past lives. In those cases, what happens, and those are generally the cases which are either passed in some unnatural way that we have discussed, accident or murders or something like that. Why? Because if it happens in an age of person who while he is still very much attached to the world, very strong desires to live. So after the physical body connection is broken, that kama manas, it becomes so strong that it doesn't go upwards, but it tries to take birth immediately in some, who may be replacing the other jivatma or something and taking birth by doing this. So in that case, what happens? The astral body is the old one, the lower mental body is the old one also, only the physical brain is new. But all the lower mental and astral body is the same. So all the memories will keep coming in the brain, and it will give a continuity of consciousness from the past life. So such people sometimes remember their past lives very, very clearly. Otherwise, it is a very natural process, natural cycle to end this thing. So that also depends on what kind of life. But you mean if there is, suppose if there is a person with whom that person has had some karma, right? And he chooses not to marry, not to have a family, right? That's what you are saying. Actually, that depends on why that person is choosing it. Definitely there must be some kind of illumination within that all this is illusion and I want to go to find the truth, right? So what the person is doing is using the higher faculties, and the lower nature is overcome, right? So that in itself creates a very good karma. But the people with whom that person has some give and take will come in life in one way or the other, and maybe not as a wife, but maybe as something, not as a child, but as something else. And then whatever karma is remaining with them particularly will have to be fulfilled. But all the I'll share tomorrow. There are three types of karma: the prarabdha, kriyaman, and sanchit. So a lot of sanchit, that is the stored karma, is burned with this wisdom. And that's why it is said sanskaras can be burned through knowledge. This is the way that when we have all this knowledge, we can cut a lot of our karmas or sanskaras which are not yet fructified. But the karma that have been allotted for this life will ultimately have its go. So whether it's J. Krishnamurti, he had pancreatic cancer, or Ramakrishna Paramhans, he had also some throat cancer. So we would say, I mean, these guys were enlightened beings. How could they have a disease? There are two possibilities though. Either that was their own karma, or they took somebody's else disease on their body by out of compassion. So both possibilities are there. So the curse, when somebody is saying a curse, it is actually a thought, no? So it will manifest depending with how much power the person had who is saying that. And same goes with blessing, that if the person is giving the blessing, depend how much spiritual force or mental force is behind that will make that blessing fulfilled or not. That is all thought power. The person who has left no goodness in him or her, in such cases what happens, antahkaran we talked yesterday, right? That is the bridge between the lower and the higher, and that transfers whatever is the goodness from the lower and give it to the higher for that birth. But in case the life has been lived with so much not goodness thing, I mean bad thing, or I mean lower kind of things, that there is no goodness remaining in this. At the time of death, these lower principles, the kama and the manas, the astral body and the lower mental body, it separates itself out from the higher, right? So now they do not have any more connection with their monad, but they are still in the astral plane. They still have mind, lower mind, and they still have desires. So they still have that I-ness. That will continue until this energy lasts, right? This mental and astral energy is remaining. They will continue and they may even take birth. And this is a very, very occult thing. They may take birth, but they will not have any soul. They will not have any higher, the monad, the Atma, Buddhi, Manas, higher Manas. And that is a fact in nature, but not many of the people know that. But if you read H.P. Blavatsky's collected writings, she mentions them by the name of lost souls. Yeah. What happened to them is they are in no way human. They will do all kinds of inhuman activities until this energy is there in them. Once that energy is exhausted, it is said that they goes to the 8th sphere or Avicii, which is worse kind of hell, and there is all kinds of explanations to that. But I know when I read that also, because I mean the normal concept is that everyone has the soul or something like that. But in nature, when some things goes out of the distract too much from the plan, then there is some provision for them also. I mean, you can search in Blavatsky's writings, lost souls, and you'll find this. But this is a very, very rare case, rare cases, but possible.
What is limbus?
Limbus, I think it's the definition where they call kind of hell, like hell or Hades or Patal Lok or something like that we study. where the people go due to the bad karma and they are tortured and all those things to get purified for further journey. That is, these are generalized things. I mean, these are how the general humanity moves, but on case to case basis, depending on what particular case, like okay, in this case I don't know how she passed away in the life, like I said, maybe in accident or unnatural deaths that we discussed, they take births even within few days or within few months because they are not going up. But also another reason is the very young children who pass away, those who do not have much material for devachan and they have not lived much or they have not created much karma, they also take birth very quickly. And also the people in this case, if you read in C. Jinaraj Dasa's book, he has given more details that what kind of people reincarnate in how much time. So the range is from 100 or few years to thousands of years. But majority of humanity who has some goodness, some badness, they create enough devachan to pass through. Some also take birth in 500 years, 600 years. The more evolved the soul is, the longer the duration will be to take rebirth. We, with our limited mind and understanding, do not know what is the larger plan and which person is playing what character and what is the role of that person. And even it is said that when these wars happen and a conflict at a large level happens, a lot of karma of the world is speeded up. Like the thing that, like suppose I take a loan from the bank, right? And there are EMIs, equated monthly installments. So I have to pay, let's say $1,000 per month as my EMI, right? Now and that will go up till 10 years, right? But now what if I want to finish it in 1 year? I want to get rid of that. So what will I do? I will do some other work, I will get some more money, make more effort, and I will increase my EMI to pay off quickly in large sums so that I get free within 1 year. So that is also one of the reasons that when such large kind of things happen, a lot of karma is actually fructified in that of the world. But as you said, the same thing actually I am thinking in the sense like in the story of Ramayana, okay, many of you do, the story of Rama, Indian hero, epic Ramayana, he was supposed to be the king, but his stepmother asked him to go to the forest and her own son to become the king. Now she may look as a bad person, right? But if she had not done that, the events that followed, which did a larger good, because when Rama went to the forest, there were a lot of evils that were spreading around. So, he fought them and he cleared the area and a lot of negative energies in the forms of obstruction. So he went around, and if his wife was not kidnapped, he would not have, had all these wars and so many negative energies in the nature would not have been balanced. So it's all in our mind, whether we are looking at a 9 or we are looking at a 6 or we are looking from top, which gives us the whole view. So I agree in that sense that nothing is so black and white. Everything is in gray, but only you will know, and means I am the real judge of my motive and my intentions. So motive is one of the very important factors in karma, that a mother slaps the child or father slaps the child, but their motive is not to hurt them or hit them, but basically to scold them, which, okay, now these days they call 911. So You cannot do that. Then karma will come in two forms. The physical karma will come in physical form, but the motive was good. So that will come in different form. Yes. So exactly, the karma theory is so fine that action, motives, it applies on everything. Sometimes we do good things with a bad motive, and sometimes we do bad things with a good motive. So it's very grey. It is said that Vishnu was given the curse, as you said, shrap, curse, that you will also take birth as a human being and you will be separated from your wife, and you will the gatekeeper. So now from Jai Vijay. So when you read these stories, you will find that ultimately everyone is just fulfilling their duty in that point of time, and it is said, do not hate the sin, not the sinner, because sinner is still the manifestation of that divinity, but the negativity in the person is carrying. I mean, we should not hate in that sense, but basically we should distinct the negativity and the person, the agent who is that. But since the person is behaving like that, we think that person is like that. So we don't know. Maybe what you mentioned about Hitler, let's say, maybe he has a pet. I don't know his life story. Maybe he had a pet whom he loved very much. So that aspect of love was still in him. Okay, he may be a villain for the humanity, or as we call him, but maybe he had some other avenues where his love aspect or good aspect was there. Yeah. Sorry? He was a vegetarianism. Vegetarian. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah.
He came. They had one division called SS Strong Staffing.
Swasti festival was there, and he had a separate team to find out Shambhala Nagar, but in a different way.
Yeah, but we don't know how he would have used the power if he had found Shambhala. So.
What I have heard is from the Australian sections is that Hitler is the manifestation of really strong will.
Yes, so you see here now Leo is also very strong willpower. I mean, if we see put him in the 7 rays of humanity, he would be on the ray 1, which is the will. I mean, other rays are that. So as you wrong intentions, and like Thanos, Kostub said that he had good intention, but the action was wrong, or supposedly wrong, and because viol. But you see, here we have to see one more thing. I just had a thought. We know about Bhagavad Gita, right? And it was where it was given? In the middle of the war field. And what is Krishna telling to Arjuna? Fight, kill people. So, but what is he saying is not that kill people because they did wrong to you. No. Not because that you had some personal suffering, but because what the things that they are doing is wrong for the society. I mean, if a woman is not protected, if a society is like that, that anybody can misbehave with a woman, or torture people and all those things. So that thing, okay, in those times they did not have what is called, what do we have, the system of governance here?
Law and order.
No, not law and order. Autocracy, and what is democracy. We did not have democracies to vote them out of power, and in those days the only way was to fight and remove them from the power. So that's what Krishna is not saying just to kill. He's saying that is your duty to stand against the adharma. Don't worry about the result. Whether you lose or win, that is not in your hand, but you have to do your duty, what you say, and that is what? Valiant defense of those who are unjustly attacked, and brave declaration of principles. That is what he is being told to do. Not that you hurt me, so I will take revenge on you and I will do this to you. Then it becomes very personal. So that is why the duty can at some point make us to decide, do some tough decisions. And the decisions have to be taken. But those will not be affected by personal sentiments. So even Arjuna is killing people. And even by the guidance of the Lord Krishna. So much gray area. Karma cannot be destroyed by any, that's what I feel. The karma okay, what is karma? If I throw the ball, let's say on the wall, it reflects from there and it's coming to me. That is karma. I threw the ball and now if you tell me that it can be stopped by, what will stop it? A force. It is coming, so I generate opposite force to stop it, right? The only force that can stop it is the opposite of what I created, right? So if a bad karma consequence energy is coming to me, I should create the opposite of it. Mantra I may be chanting, it can create some mantra. What can mantra do? It can give me some positivity. And then maybe I will face that karma in a better way, or I will send the feelings and thoughts of love. Let's say some enemy is coming back. So to counter that karma, if I send the thoughts of love and compassion, that will nullify it. That is also a part that's why charity, but not with that feeling that I am giving to people, so my karma, that will not help. What the purpose of it is, the moment you start feeling beyond yourself, going beyond yourself, when you are helping somebody, you are becoming empathetic. You are thinking, putting yourself in the other person's shoes. That feeling actually connects you to your selflessness, the higher self, and that subsides a lot of karma. Because the whole purpose of this karma is to make us selfless, to make us compassionate, to make us love, to realize our true nature. So if we are realizing that, then that force will automatically be cut down to a certain extent. But then there are some inevitable karmas which cannot be altered by anything. Okay. Thank you.